So the last Buu Saga video I did was Super Saiyan 3 Goku versus Ultimate Gohan. So I thought I could do a versus battle video that would be just as interesting. Goku versus Gotenks. Specifically, Super Saiyan 3 Goku versus Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks. So the first thing I want to do is cover each fighter's respective fight catalog within the saga. More specifically, their respective fights with Majin Buu. Starting with Goku. So in the beginning of the arc, in both the manga and anime, Goku fights with Fat Buu in order to buy time for Trunks to get the Dragon Radar. Then in the anime only, he briefly fights with Gotenks as a Super Saiyan 3 in order to stall him for Gohan to find the Potara earring once he loses it. Again, in the anime, after that, he fights alongside Vegeta against Buuhan, and then after that, he goes on to fight an evil clone or image or mirage of Ultimate Gohan inside Buu, and in the anime again, he fights Super Buu inside of his own head before escaping and eventually fighting Kid Buu in both Super Saiyan 2 and Super Saiyan 3. Now going on to Gotenks' fight catalog. In the anime only, he fights Fat Buu in base pre-Time Chamber training. Then in both the manga and the anime, he fights base Super Buu in the Time Chamber in both base and Super Saiyan 1. And in both the manga and anime, he fights base Super Buu again as a Super Saiyan 3. Now, again, determining who wins this will most likely depend on judging each fighter's performance against each fight with Buu. Now, when it comes to the respective fights with the Fat Buu specifically, Goku is obviously shown doing way better than base Gotenks, which, as I just said, given that it's Super Saiyan 3 Goku, that isn't really surprising. But I mean, the fight between Gotenks and Buu didn't even last more than a couple minutes, like in anime showtime. That's not even factoring in the small talk within the fight. And Buu was able to wrap up that fight pretty quickly. Now, to be fair, Gotenks is a kid and he did underestimate Buu, but he even admits later on when he gets back to the lookout that regardless, Buu is too strong for him, at least in base. But it's just as important to note that not only does Goku do better, Goku implied to Piccolo early on in the arc and later admits to himself before he fights Kid Buu that he actually could have destroyed the Fat Buu when he fought him on Earth. So not only did Goku outperform Gotenks by a wide margin, but he also did so while fighting with restraint. Granted, Goku fought him while he was dead, so his body was probably more durable than usual, but at the same time, him being dead also causes energy to run out more quickly in Super Saiyan 3, so I guess it evens out. And besides, durability or not, Buu didn't even land that many punches on Gotenks in their fight before it was pretty much over, so yeah. Moving on. Now, after Goten and Trunks train in the Hyperbolic Time Chamber, both in the anime and the manga, Gotenks does perform slightly better against a stronger Super Buu as a Super Saiyan 1. Though in both versions, at least to me, Gotenks doesn't honestly do too much against Buu. I mean, as a matter of fact, even watching this fight as a kid, even I could tell that this was some kind of filler-esque type of fight and was seemingly played off more as comedic relief more than an actual fight. Now, I'm not saying this fight is filler as it is also in the manga, but you get what I'm trying to say. Now, that's not a reflection of Gotenks' strength. After all, he is a kid, so it's natural for him not to take a fight as seriously as he should have, but still. Now, when Gotenks goes Super Saiyan 3 and fights Super Buu, he does fight and perform way better than his previous fights combined, even getting the better of Buu more than once. But from the looks of both the manga and anime, I'd say that for the most part, Gotenks of Super Saiyan 3 and Super Buu were around the same level. However, once it comes to the anime specifically, there's an indication that Buu might not have been trying as hard as in his fight with Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks. When Gohan arrives and starts to manhandle Buu, Buu says that he knew about Gohan for a while and until he got there, he was planning on using Gotenks as a warm-up for Gohan. Piccolo even says this is pretty much exactly the case when he overhears Gohan being told this by Buu. So based off that, we could say that base Super Buu is still stronger than Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks, but if so, it can't be by much, as even with using Gotenks as a warm-up, Gohan completely outclassed Buu so bad that he needed to absorb Gotenks in the first place. So when it comes to the manga, we can say that Gotenks and Buu are around the same level, while in the anime, Super Buu in base is still either on the same level or just slightly stronger than Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks. Now, when it comes to Goku, it's a bit trickier. In the manga, outside of Goku fighting in the Fat Buu and admitting that he could have killed him when they first fought, nothing really changes because he doesn't really fight again until he fights Kid Buu on the World of the Kais. In the anime though, there is a scene after Gotenks escaped from the Hyperbolic Time Chamber and Goku sees that he's transformed to Super Saiyan 3. Shin asks him if Gotenks is stronger than him. Goku replies saying, "Well, I can do it too," which Funny enough, I've seen people treat this as if Goku's kind of dodging the question, which I could definitely see that. But I also think it could be interpreted as Goku himself not even knowing the answer to that question. After all, he hadn't even seen Gotenks fight at all, much less in Super Saiyan 3. So for all he knew, Gotenks could have been stronger than him. But moving on. In the anime, like I said earlier, Goku fights Gotenks as a Super Saiyan 3 for a little bit, and this is up to opinion, but I personally think that he did more or less the same as Gohan was doing against the same Gotenks before the fusion wore off. Now, I'm not saying that Goku would have been able to last as long as Gohan in the fight, but just off throwing hands alone, I think Goku was doing relative to Gohan in that fight. But again, that's just me. But the next fight that Goku participates in, he fights the evil fake Gohan that's inside of Buu, in the anime at least. Now, when it comes to Goku's strength and power, there's a few contradictions between the anime and the manga. So, starting in order, starting with when he gets to Earth to help Gohan against Buu, after his quick little tussle with Gotenks and the fusion wears off, Buu reverts to the Buu with Piccolo being the more dominant character inside of him. In the anime, in the original dub at least, Goku then says to Buu, "You don't expect to beat me like that, do you?" Implying that he could be stronger than base Super Buu and Buu with Piccolo and the boys absorbed. Now, when he says this though, it's kind of tough to know what he means, whether he means me as in himself in a 1v1, or if he's just referring to the fact that both Goku and Gohan could take him in a 2v1, and that either way, Buu just isn't winning in general. Then later in both the anime and the manga, after he and Vegeta free Piccolo, Trunks, and Goten from Buu, but before they escape from Buu, Goku says to Vegeta that despite the fact that Buu's power has gone down sharply, there's still no match for him. This is of course means that even with Goku being a Super Saiyan 3 and Vegeta being a Super Saiyan 2, Goku is still not confident they could take him in 2v1. But then when it comes to Kid Buu, Goku completely forgoes fusing with Vegeta to beat Buu and just chooses to fight him 1v1. In the anime, when he makes this decision, Kibito Kai asks him how he expects to beat Buu without fusion, because in this form, he's more powerful than ever, implying that when it comes to the base versions of Majin Buu, Kid Buu is the strongest. Goku even adds to this later on when he fights Kid Buu. In the original dub, he says, "Darn you, Buu, you're twice as strong as you were before. Your speed, your power." In the Japanese dub, he says that Buu is on another level than the previous versions of Buu, which is important because if this is true, then in both the anime and the manga, Goku tells Vegeta that had he gone all out from the jump in Super Saiyan 3, he could have killed Kid Buu, but he let the fight drag on because he wanted to either let Vegeta have a turn or he just wanted to look cool, whichever media you digest. Now the manga makes no actual distinction between Super Buu and Kid Buu in terms of strength and power. All we have to go off of is Kibito Kai's reaction, as even though he's been frightened of each form of Buu, it's not nearly as much as when we see him freak out when he sees Kid Buu for the first time again. But from what I can gather in the manga, it seems that Kibito Kai is more scared of Kid Buu due to him being a complete unhinged killing machine with no remorse whatsoever when compared to the other forms of Buu. But regardless, like I said, it's tough to infer from the manga whether or not Kid Buu is actually stronger or weaker than Super Buu, and by how much. So when it comes to raw strength and power, I think that in the manga, Goku and Gotenks are at best on the same level, with Gotenks having higher assertions based off the statements and feats, or lack thereof in Goku's case. Now when it comes to who would actually win in a fight, whether it's in the anime or the manga, I can actually see this going a few different ways. Now I'll say this first. I think if Gotenks can pull a fast one on Goku and possibly get him in a position where Gotenks hits him with a move where he split Majin Buu down the middle and blasted him with his final flash, at least in the original dub anyway, then if he is able to do that, Goku's cooked, literally. Or especially if he hits Goku with the Super Ghost Kamikaze attack, then yeah, he might be done for. At the very least, it'll leave Goku in a less favorable condition in order to better help Gotenks' chance of winning. Which leads me to talk about a few aspects of this fight that might determine the winner. Probably the most simple is Goku being a much better fighter in general. Like, as far as battle instincts go, there's barely anybody who surpasses Goku, at least in Dragon Ball Z anyway. And yes, Gotenks is powerful and very skilled in his own right, but he just doesn't have the same battle experience and battle instincts as Goku by a long shot. The second thing is that since this is a live Goku, I'd say there's more call to say that he'd be able to maintain Super Saiyan 3 longer than Gotenks can both maintain Super Saiyan 3 and stay fused. At worst, they might have the same amount of time to maintain their respective forms, and it just divulges into a 2v1 between Goku, Goten, and Trunks. which I'm sure even base Goku could take them on in 2v1. And this is where I get into the subject of intel, specifically about the Super Ghost Kamikaze attack, because I think that's probably Gotenks' strongest move. If Goku knows about what the ghosts can do and how powerful they are, then I think he's more likely to be able to outmaneuver them and be less likely to be hit by them. But if he doesn't, then Goku may or may not attempt to actually fight them head on and thereby be severely damaged. And this brings me into the last aspect, character. If we're talking in character, Gotenks didn't really take the fight with Super Buu as seriously as he needed to until he found out Buu actually killed everyone on the lookout. And even then, he was still kind of joking around here and there in the fight. So if he's going to act like that with Super Buu of all people, he's definitely going to do the same thing with Goku, maybe even worse. Now, for the sake of total fairness, if Gotenks were to hypothetically take this fight as seriously as he needed to, I actually think he put in some work. Piccolo said it best to Gotenks in the Hyperbolic Time Chamber that if he puts his mind to it, there's no telling what he can do. Which, I mean, Piccolo was cooking there. So this is the part of the video where I'll say that the outcome of this fight is depending on a few separate answers. So going off the manga first. So this is Super Saiyan 3 Goku versus Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks in the manga. If Gotenks takes this fight 100% serious, and if Goku doesn't have any intel going in, then I think Gotenks beats Goku before the time runs out. If Gotenks doesn't take the fight seriously and Goku still has intel, or vice versa honestly, if he doesn't have intel but Gotenks does take it seriously, then it's a 50-50 and I could see it going either way. And if Gotenks doesn't take the fight seriously and Goku does have intel going in, then I think Goku at the very least could hold out long enough for the fusion to run out, if not beat Gotenks outright. Now, going off the anime. So this is going to be Super Saiyan 3 Goku versus Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks in the anime. I actually think the scenarios I just pitched stay the same, with the odds being a bit more in Goku's favor due to the statements about Kid Buu and Goku's performance against him. For full disclosure, if you want to know my thoughts about the other versions of these characters fighting, base Goku versus base Gotenks, I think Gotenks does win. I think it's pretty obvious. Super Saiyan 1 Gotenks, I think also beats Super Saiyan 1 Goku. But interestingly enough, even though there's not a Super Saiyan 2 Gotenks, if we're talking about the anime real quick, then I think end of series Super Saiyan 2 Goku might be able to give base and Super Saiyan 1 Gotenks a decent fight at the very least, given his performance as a Super Saiyan 2 against Kid Buu. But I didn't go into too much detail about this because a lot of what I'm going to say has to do with the Super Saiyan 3 versions of this fight. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you guys think. Let me know in the comments if you think I'm hyping up Goku too much in either the manga or the anime, or if I'm hyping Gotenks up in the manga and the anime. I know there's a lot of discrepancies between both of them. That's just why I wanted to do both the manga and the anime fights respectively. So just in case there are people who are more manga purists of the fight and the ones who like to use the anime only, or if y'all are a fan of doing both. But either way, that's the video. Thank you all for watching all the way to the end. If you have, make sure you like the video if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Click the bell for more notifications. Until my next one, like the snow, out.